Okay, guys, I'd like to welcome our next guest to Let's Get Freaky tonight. We are joined by Isaac from Hidden in the Shadows podcast. I nearly messed that up then. Hidden in the Shadows podcast. Thank you very much for being here, sir. How are you?
Doing good. It's a Monday evening for me and a Tuesday morning for you. So,
Yeah, it's early here, man, but that's cool. I live on Eastern time, so this is very normal for me. So you based in North Carolina, is that correct?
y- yes, me and my wife have been living here for about 9 years now. Yeah. Um, I originally am from Texas. She was born and raised here. She met me in Texas and we moved back over here together. Um, and the East Coast, North Carolina, kind of in Jacksonville, which is right next to Camp Lejeune and a majority of the coastline beaches and stuff like that. But I wouldn't consider
Nice.
myself a beach person. I had a phobia of the ocean for a good while of my life, and it took a little bit to get over it. But there's a road you have to take to get to the beach, bridge that goes up, and it looks like from the height of it that you're driving into the ocean or off a cliff into the ocean. So that freaked me out when I was still getting over my phobia, but now I'm far past it. It doesn't bother me as
Yeah.
much anymore. Yeah.
Do you go on the beach now? Do you have beach days or
I'm
you're not
not
that far yet?
well when it's warm. My
Yeah.
wife and my son like going, but I never consider myself an outdoorsy person. But when I have to, which is funny because 90% of my investigations that I do with the paranormal team is outside because it's hard to get into a location around here. So,
Yeah. Yeah,
so I
man.
have to be technically.
But you've got an awesome podcast, as I said, Hidden in the Shadows podcast. You and your wife co-host it together. It's absolutely awesome, man. Can you tell us a little bit about it and what got you into looking into the paranormal subjects?
Well, I appreciate the endorsement. No, we've been doing the podcast since 2020. Like majority of people who got into podcasting because of the pandemic, we had nothing else to do. But the conversations me and my wife would have at night, just about our day and things we experienced, were so out there. I was getting into podcasts at the time because I had a job where I had to drive around a lot, so I would listen to podcasts. I listened to wrestling podcasts, music podcasts, different things. I started getting to the paranormal podcasts. And what annoyed me about paranormal podcasts in the early, like 2019, 2020, was that everyone always seemed to be putting on a character, like talking in a certain kind of voice to over explain something that was already normal with that kind of tonality. And it just, I don't know, it felt fake to me. Like I wanted to hear real people talking about real things from a like a perspective. Um, as I told my wife, let's do one. All right. Because between me and her, we have enough paranormal experiences to probably write a couple of novels, if not more.
Yeah.
So between the two of us, majority of the early episodes of our podcast was just telling our stories, talking about the ranch I grew up on, talking about her early days, um, dealing with being a psychic medium that she is. So she has been haunted. Every house she's ever lived in has been haunted. So every time she would go to a new place, it didn't matter if it was old or new, it would have ghosts because they kept following her around. So she had all those experiences. I had all my experiences. Then we started dating. We had experiences together. And then after even getting married and moving here in this house, treasure trove of stuff have happened just here. So everywhere we live is going to be haunted. So we decided to talk about those and then start picking up our favorite subjects of the paranormal, talking about the black eyed children, talking about UFOs, talking about poltergeist activity, talking about demons, talking about possession cases, all those things. And we find out a lot of people liked our perspective because I come to find out the majority of paranormal podcasters are speaking from a spectator's point of view. They're not involved in the game. Like they're not actively going into haunted locations. They're not actively looking things. They might have their own house maybe haunted, but actively doing stuff, not so much. It seemed like majority of the good paranormal podcasters were spectators. But me and my wife were speaking from someone involved in it because we experienced so much. And then we end up joining a paranormal team from the podcast. And it was around that time of September of that same year where the story of my life now takes a turn for the extreme outlandish because in September of 2020, my ability awoken or came to me, however you want a perspective. And what I can do, like I said, I almost guarantee no one has ever heard about before. Now there's similarities in the world. There might be people somewhat close, but exactly no. I have researched for the last 4 years, searching in all different faiths and religions and cultures and histories across the entire world, looking for an even inkling of what I'm capable of doing. And the closest I can get to are shamans from all the cultures, like from Nordic and Aztec and even Haiti, amongst the voodoo tribes and stuff like that. And still, it's like 30-40% almost. But let me explain. In September of 2020, I gained the ability to not only feel, but manipulate, control, and almost create in higher dimensional planes, but most majority of the entities that are in those planes. So ghosts, demons, entities, doesn't matter what they are, I can feel them and I can grab them, I can pull them, I can condense their energy down to the size of a ball and push that energy into a ring that I use as a prison. Now, I only ever, full disclaimer, I only ever pull dark entities. I never take people or light energy and like that. I leave it as it is because it seems kind of cruel to take a person off the plane. But no, dark humans, dark entities, anything on the negative side of the spectrum, oh, they're all open game. And
Wow.
I learned to differentiate positive from negative. So my left hand charges. I call it charging. It's like a tingling sensation that starts in the center of my palms and it spreads out to the tips of my fingers. The stronger or the closer the entity is. So left hand is good, light spirits. Right hand is negative, evil spirits. Um, and with my hands out stretched, if I feel that charging sensation, I know something's close. And if I focus enough, I can grab it and pull it towards me and then condense the energy down, like I said, to the size of a baseball almost in my hand. And then I can push that energy in. Now, before I started using the ring, which is a King Solomon replica ring, nothing special, just steel and silver. But it has the same King Solomon emblem that King Solomon had on his ring back in his stories. You need to know the story of King Solomon.
You might have to refresh me on it, mate. I've heard of it, but I'm not.
Well, for other people who have no idea,
Yeah.
King Solomon was a king of the Israelites, I believe, in 300 BC or earlier or later. I can't remember the exact year. But his story is told in all three of the Abrahamic faiths. So in Judaism and Christianity, they talk about him imprisoning demons. In Islam, it's jinns. So the story goes that King Solomon was gifted wisdom beyond any knowledge. God bestowed a gift upon him, which was wisdom. Hence, we became Solomon the Wise. And then the archangels gave him a ring that he could use to imprison demons, as it was told to him. So, using his Salmatic magic and the ring, he was able to imprison 70 demons in his ring. And he used those demons to help build his temple. Then some shenanigans happened where one day he took the ring off, a demon took hold of it, mimicked him, took over the country. A lot of stuff happened, but he eventually got it back. But that gave me the idea. If the only other person in history I've heard of is pulling energy like me, Solomon, then see if I can do that. And lo and behold, yeah. The first time I grabbed energy and I had it in my hand, I had the ring on. And I said simply, into the ring. And the energy left my hand. And I wonder, did it go in the ring or didn't? But I kept doing it. And then one day, my wife walks in to our room and she goes, "What is that screaming? What is that? I can hear people yelling." And I go, "Oh, is it this?" And I showed it to her. She's like, "Oh my God." It's like, what is in there? I was like, I told her I'm pulling things and putting it in there. And she goes, "Oh, let me tune out for a second." And she tunes into the ring and she says to her, it looks like a giant like snow globe essentially, with all these Dementor, from Harry Potter, floating things hitting the glass and unable to escape. And there's like she said, there's like a vent at the bottom where all or drain where all these things are coming in but can't leave. Uh, Other psychics that I've talked to describe it as a prison. Um, but the reason I even decided to do that is because originally the energy I pulled, I would pull into myself and filter it like a natural filtration system for energy. The sensation felt like a chill running up your spine when you get cold, and the energy would leave my mouth like a breath, like it'd be neutral. But that process started taking a toll. It started turning the hair, my beard hair, and my hair on the right side of my face gray. It was aging me, that process of doing that. So luckily, we had a member on the team who had a vision. He was a very talented psychic, but had a vision of King Solomon's symbol. And we had another member on the team who was Jewish, who recognized the symbol and then gave me an idea for King Solomon. And then that's how I've been using it. One of my, in the beginning, I thought the energy I was pulling was like a vacuum, like I was sucking it all up into my hand. But after meditation and practice, getting in contact with my spirit guides, and learning to look through the third eye and see, it's not a vacuum. What's happening is there's strings of energy leaving my fingertips and creating a circle in the center of my hand. And those strings fire out faster than any snake strike you can think of, wrap around the entity like a boa constrictor, pulling them and condensing their energy at the same time.
Wow.
And those strings of energy are different colors. In the left hand, it's blue, and the right hand, it's red. And that's the most I can see. And looking through my third eye at my hand, when it ignites, it's like trying to see shadows in the dark. You can kind of see it, but my ability is, I'm not that in tune with the clairvoyance and clairaudience because I'm not psychic. I'm not a medium. I can't see or talk to spirits, only touch them. And I explained it very well. My wife's a psychic medium. So her connection to the supernatural world is like she's a Wi-Fi router, right? She can wirelessly pick up stuff. I'm hardline. I have to plug in order to get a signal, hence see and grab. So, but something else I discovered about my ability and later on is that if I were to take your right hand and hold it, and I focused, I can see into what I like to call the mind forest. And the mind forest is your subconscious part of your mind where all your trauma, your negative emotions, all your baggage, it's buried there, either consciously or subconsciously. And it takes shape in different forms, whether it be a person, a thing, an animal, or just negative energy. And also everybody's forest is different. From the foliage, from the trees, from the time of day, from the color of the moon, from whether it's full, half, or quarter. And it all varies on each person. And I've been into a lot of minds. I've done almost as much clearing of minds as I have done actual pulling of entities. But
wow,
that skill allowed me to look into the ring as if it was somebody's mind. And what it looks like inside there to me. If you can imagine a forest after a nuclear blast, the sky is overcast, the ground is covered in ash and dirt, all the trees are burnt and black as if it's set on fire and still standing, the foliage, nothing, a wasteland essentially. And all the entities in there are different sizes and different shapes. Some have horns, some don't, some are animalistic, some are just people, and it all varies, and they're all in there yelling and screaming. Best way I can describe what it sounds like. If you're a fan of Slipknot, I suggest listening to the opening track of Iowa 515 and times that by 100, and that is the sound of what it sounds like in there.
Wow, man.
Yeah. But I've been on a bit of roll for the last 4 years. See, before that date, I had no abilities. I had no intentions of feeling the dead or seeing the dead or anything like that in my entire life up to that point. Never. And then after that point, now I'm considered the most dangerous person for a dark entity in the world. And I don't say that to gloat or be cocky or egotistical. It's because everything that I have grabbed, every single entity, whether it be a regular person who's an a-hole or a very powerful high-ranking demon, it does not matter. Once I grab something, it's the end. They don't get away. Everything I've ever pulled has no chance of stopping me. And I've never met anything. Now, don't get me wrong, some things put up a good fight, but stop me? No. Nothing has been able to stop me. And that's like I said, I don't mean to be egotistical or cocky about it, but that's just a matter of fact. Every time I grab something, that's the end. I grab, I pull, I put it in the ring, it's done. And that's why I'm able to do 31 home investigations, and 28 of those have involved demons.
Wow.
And that's just home investigations. And what allows me to be very effective anywhere in the world is the other addition to my ability is I can reach through the phone, through the screen as we're talking now. If it's in real time, like how we're talking right now, like you're where you're at, I can reach through into your place, feel around for anything, pull whatever's there, bring it back to mine, and imprison it in the ring. That's allowed me to, of course, pull things from people who are not even remotely even near me. I've done cases in Canada, Portugal, Australia, England, parts of the United States. I have pulled stuff from, and they've all told me it's gone, like it never was there.
Wow.
Like I've had families like tortured for months, and it brought in a shaman, brought in priests, brought in all these people, and all it did, it made it worse. And this is my record time: a 30-minute call with me. 30 minutes. I cleared the entire house. I cleared the mind forest out, and it was done. The next day, like it never happened. The next week, gone entirely. It's like it never ever happened to them. And they were just amazed, and they were frustrated as well, thinking, if I just would have called you the first, it would have been just over. I'm like, I know. One of my biggest
Yeah,
regrets
man.
I'm on my campaign to try to spread the story as much as I can, because my biggest regret right now is not enough people know who I am, because it's so I do it so easy, I do it so simply, and the most importantly thing, I do it all for free. I never
Wow.
charge anyone anything for my services. I feel it's how immoral to do so, because it's like a doctor asking, how much can you pay me before I can fix you? So my ability allows me to be more efficiently, faster, and more powerful than any shaman, than any priest, than any preacher, than any paranormal investigator, than any light worker, than anybody out there. Because what I take is permanently gone. And that's why my frustration with other people that do light work. Now they're necessary. They're necessary out there in that world. But what frustrates me about them is that they push it on to somebody else. Yeah, it's not bothering these people anymore that you helped, but it's out there to go bother someone else in the future. So all you're doing is preventing that person from being suffering, not the next person. I prevent it entirely. I stop it right at the source. So the entity has no chance of ever affecting anyone ever again. And at last rapport, I have 83 demons in my ring.
Wow.
83. 12 are high ranking, but 83 are just minions, lieutenants, sergeants, dukes, whatever you want to call them. But 83 in total I have confirmed. Now there might be more, but confirmed 83.
Wow, man.
I started keeping count after 25. So ever since that point on, I've been keeping count of every time I pull, because you find out they don't hunt alone. There's always a master and two servants at any dark hunting. There's one in charge, and he has two slaves to his name. So sometimes a demon might have other demons. Sometimes it might just have a regular person or another kind of entity. There's a high-ranking demon I took down that had a wraith. It was a death-looking figure with no legs, with big old gangly arms, like a big shroud-looking kind of thing, like a death figure, floating along with a person at its side. This is a high-ranking demon. Why would he have a person and a wraith? I thought he had the other two demons at his side. Nope. But the big ones, yeah, they have other lower demons. So sometimes I take 3 at one time. Yeah. And I go to random
Man.
locations investigating around here, and we encounter a lot of stuff. You would be surprised about the stuff that's on over here in North Carolina. You would think, well, it shouldn't be that haunted. Well, this is one of the oldest states in the United States, one of the first 13. So we've seen our fair share of bloodshed.
Yeah, man. Is there a limit to how many demons you can capture? I mean, can the ring get full, or is that just endless?
I always get asked that. And the thing is, though, you don't you can't look at the ring like a haunted object, because it's not. As we know, haunted objects, the haunted object in someone's home can affect them, right? From Annabelle, from the Dybbuk box, from Robert the Doll, whoever haunted objects famously known, they affect people around them. Just one demon in that ring should be able to affect everyone in this home, but no one's getting infected. And I felt dumb that I didn't notice that sooner. That wait, our house isn't haunted. We don't have shit flying off the front. We're not having nightmares. We're not being affected. It's not a haunted object. It's not. It can't be. And I was thinking to myself, wait, then what is it? My best guess, I'm understanding everything, is that it's like a passageway or a door or a jump point to another dimension place, another universe, dimensional world, whatever you want to call it, that has no end and has no escape because it's nowhere. It doesn't exist anywhere, but then it exists that place, and things can never escape. Hence why someone asked me one time, "Do I have a name for it?" And I said, at the time, you know what? I never thought about giving it a name, but after thinking about it, I decided to call it Cien Esfurgo, which is Latin for no escape. Yeah. But no, there seems to be no end because it seems to be endless in there.
Yeah.
And it's strange from my point of view, every time I enter those 12 high ranking, I have chained to trees, 6 on one side, 6 on the other, just for intimidation factor. So everything I throw in there, oh crap, there's a guy who's a big timer. He's chained to a tree, unable to leave or move. What the hell's going to happen to me? Right. So it seems to make it a little more compliable to answer questions when I enter, especially why they were bothering that person. Why were you oppressing this person? Why were you there? Why are you attached to this person? Those questions that get asked most of the time get answered, but sometimes a little persuasion needs to be done. But from my point of view in the ring, no, it looks like woods burnt to a crisp in a mountain range somewhere in the back, maybe miles away. But other than that, there seems to be no end to it. Like it continues, goes on and on and on and on. Because there's 83 confirmed demons. Those are the demons. I have 5 witches, 4 skinwalkers, a djinn, primordial entity, what else? Oh yeah, 10 elementals, and then I've lost count of how many dark human entities are in there.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of
Man.
a-holes in the afterlife who I just pull in there, and
Yeah.
those are easy. Most of them look like shadows. They're just like there's no humanity to them left. There's just like a shadow. Um, and if my right hand charges around him, obviously it's not a good person. But
Wow, man.
that's how I differentiate. I can tell whether it's a person or a dark entity. So, and I don't get to choose which hand is which. It whatever charges, it tells me what's there. So if it's my left hand's charging, oh, it's a person. Or my right hand's charging, oh, it's something evil. So I'll take care of it. But yeah. Another cool thing was in the early days, I was able to before I learned that the strings of energy would leave my fingers, I would put my hand to the earth and I would feel the entire, I don't know, 100-yard radius from my location in an entire radius, and I could tell everything there. And not only that, I could pull everything dark wise with my right hand from a certain point in the ground all the way up at one time. And it kind of was like the end of the night investigation clearing up thing. If anything was left behind that I missed, I did that and pulled everything at once. The biggest area I think I pulled was a farm. I pulled a couple of blocks one time, entire buildings. Those are easy. The house, individual's house are super easy. I could pull the whole thing at once. But no, that's been my campaign. Now the 6 names, right? Because one of my handles is Shadow Walker. That name was given to me um, I would say 3 years ago, like around when I started this ability. I got to interview a paranormal investigator in Australia named Peta, who she has her own paranormal team, Ethereal Sisters Paranormal. Um, and when I was explaining my ability to her, because I always asked every psychic or medium, have you heard anything like this before? Right? Or anybody into the cult, like, have you heard about this before? She had no idea. But she said, you know what, it kind of sounds like my friend Jane and what she does. So after speaking with Jane, I come to find out she said I can pull energy in with my left hand and help transfer the spirits that I grab and push them to the other side, like crossing them over. But she said when she went to her shaman to discover what that ability is, uh, that she was called a psychopomp or a shadow walker. Um, difference between me and Jane is also a psychic medium with this extra gift. My wife, a psychic medium with an extra gift. And we come to find out a lot of psychic mediums in the world have an extra gift that we call EMAs, energy manipulation ability. And a lot of EMA users out there tend to kind of project light or put a shield around themselves or pull light in or something like that. But it's all light based. There's never anything else. But that's where the first thing came from, Shadow Walker. The second one was Earth Shaker. That came from one of my when I was reaching out in different faiths, learning things and stuff like that, uh, Wakana Tonka, right, the Native American Lakota Great Spirit in the Sky, it was called Earth Maker, and I got the name Earth Shaker, and I've earned that name because sometimes when I pull from the earth, you can feel the ground vibrate, and that's not my perspective. I did it one time, and someone said, "Can you feel the ground shaking?" It was around me at the time, so I was like, "Oh shit, I guess I am the Earth Shaker." Um, One of the other names I gained was right before my first oppression case, my first ever oppression case. I was nervous because this is the first time I was going into a home that had a confirmed demon that was oppressing somebody. So I was like, "Oh shit, I gotta figure this out." And at the time, I was a Christian, but not anymore. And that's essentially saying that I don't believe in Yahweh. I just don't choose to follow or worship him. In truth, I actually believe every God that's ever been worshipped exists, and whoever you choose to follow is who that comes to you. Anyway, um, so I decided to make a offering to Odin because it's getting a strong pull towards the Nordic gods and stuff like that. So simple burying a wolf bone and some other things in the ground and just saying, All Father, watch me in battle, right? Or watch over me in battle. And I heard clearly as I'm speaking to you, Drang, right? And the word Dranger in I think it's Sweden or Norway, I can't remember the exact like Norwegian. Um, Vikingers would call each other Drangers as a compliment. It essentially means either a translation ultimate warrior or badass, right? So the All Father to call me Dranger was like, holy crap, he's has my back and stuff like that. And also the same night that my second spirit guide came to know, I came to know him. He's a Vikinger named Ojin. Um, Looks like anybody from the show Vikings, sounds like anybody from the show Vikings. Best way I can describe him. He's bald though. He's got a big beard. Um, but no, he made himself known, and he's the warmonger. I call him because he's always ready for a fight. Like let's get down, right? Um, but that's what my third name, Odin Stranger, right?
Oh man.
Um, yeah. So that
Can
one,
can you see your spirit guide? Can you see him in full?
yeah. When I meditate and go to my place, my mind forest, um, that I built in my head as a meditation place. Originally, it was just a simple in the woods, big open field area, very short grass, woods all around, open sky at night. I can see the stars and the moon. I had a little campfire right in the middle with four logs around where me and my spirit guides would sit. My first spirit guide was Azul, who is a Native American, sorry, an Aztec jaguar warrior. Right? He says his name was too long to pronounce. Just call me Azul, which is funny enough, Spanish for blue. Anyway, um, and then Ojin made himself known after that first night. And then the third spirit guide made himself known after one of the cases I did. And he's a gunslinger from the West named Harold, right? And I had to give them voices because otherwise it's myself talking to myself. Like I didn't have identity in their voice. So I gave them voices so they sounded like them. Azul sounds like Namor from Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. Ojin sounds like anybody from the Viking show, that Nordic accent. And Harold, I had a very liking towards Arthur from Red Dead Redemption
Oh
2.
man, yes.
So I gave him that Texas gritty, low tone voice. That's what he sounds like to me. So every time we talk, just like this.
That's
But
so cool. Yeah.
yeah. Um, but no, I can conversate with them when I meditate, go to that place, talk to them. We discuss my ability, discuss future things, discuss past things, understanding of reality, all that stuff. Like they share stuff with me. Um, and it's often weird. Sometimes if I'm talking to somebody or I'm in a haunted location, they'll perk up. Like this side of my head will get the sensation like the relief after a headache. The best way I can describe it. It's only on the right side of my head, and that's them basically going, "Hey, hey, hey, pay attention. Hey, there's something over here. Hey, hey." Like they're trying to get my. I go. I had to focus and go, "What?" And they'll say, "Pay attention to this or pay attention to that." And how I know it's them talking and not my own thoughts is if I ask a question and I get an immediate answer, like ask question, answer. There's no thinking about the question. There's no analyzing. It's automatic. And that tells me, oh, it's them talking, versus my own thoughts where I overanalyze something. So that's how I was able to differentiate my thoughts from when they're speaking to me directly. And then the fourth came in kind of late. She appeared to me after I took down my first skinwalker spirit. Um, she's a Native American woman named Nachananu. And she's more of like a teacher or motherly vibe. She's not a warrior. The other three are all fighters in their own right, but she's more of like a teacher or mother vibe. Um, and she kind of like guides us. If she was, say, if anyone's in charge in that room, it's her. When it comes to making decisions and stuff like that. But I rebuilt the mine forest and made it a longhouse, like a Viking longhouse. I modeled it after the longhouse in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So if you ever played that video game,
Great
that
game.
longhouse,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, man.
that's what it looks like now. I kind of designed it like that because I figured out that I can mold and change things in my mind force. I can build, I can take down, I can make things however I want in there. It's like my own little reality. But um, what was I? Oh yes, when Odin Shadowwalker or Shaker, Odin Stranger. So on my journey to find out more about my ability, like I said, I found out that shamans in the world were known for pulling dark energies in and imprisoning those dark energies in their staffs. So I was like, oh, so this is not something new, but it's something that was long forgotten. And my ethnic heritage is I'm Mexican, so that makes me half indigenous to the continent of Mexico, or Mexica. So I think from the origins where my family originates, I would say I'm Aztec, as most Mexicans are. So half Aztec, and then I actually found out later in life that I actually have a percent Native American in me. My great grandfather, my mother's grandfather, was 100% Choctaw Native, and she waited till I was 30 to tell me that for some reason. I don't know why. She's like, oh, I thought you knew. I was like, no, that never came out. I could have used that on the college things, stuff like that. I could have got some scholarships. She's like, no, I don't know. So I got a small percent of Native American in me. So, but it makes me still half indigenous altogether, and then half Spanish, of course. But um, we decided, oh, my wife was like, you're a shaman meant for war, right? You're not a shaman of peace or just teachings. You're meant for war. A war shaman. So there became my fourth name, War Shaman. Um, Now the fifth name was interesting because this is what they call me, what dark entities and demons call me. They don't call me Isaac. They don't call me Shadow Walker. They call me Order Keeper. That's what they call me. They say Order Keeper. Um, Essentially, what I'm doing is keeping order by taking dark
Yeah.
entities off the plane of existence. So, but yeah, anytime I encounter them, they yell at me and say, "What do you want, Order Keeper?" and stuff like that. They get in my face about it. But well, no, my sixth name is the most important because this name has to do with the most mystery I've ever encountered. Um, I had surgery about 2 years ago now over my belly button because I had hernia. And the member on my previous team, he had multiple surgeries over his life. And he found out that if you're under anesthesia and you meditate, you can go anywhere, right? It's easier to go in the astral plane under anesthesia, as he told me. So literally the night before I'm supposed to go in for surgery, me and my wife are in this room. We're just talking about something. Maybe the next episode we're going to record. And she goes, whoa, whoa, whoa. I go, what? What are you getting? And she goes, somebody's here and they want to talk to you. I'm like, who? And she goes, your grandfather. Now, my grandfather, my father's father, actually, both my grandfathers have passed away. And I was like, what is he doing here? She's like, no, not this timeline's grandfather, your past life grandfather. And I go, which past life? She said, the time you were a Cheyenne spirit warrior, that grandfather from that time. And I was like, whoa, wait. Because I had a past life regression done a couple years ago, and I found out that I lived multiple lives over since almost before ancient Egypt. In other words, I've
Wow.
been here a really long time, according to the past life regressions that I have done. Like, dude, your soul is ancient. I was like, oh shit. I know I feel old sometimes. Um, but she communicated with him, talking to him, and she basically the message that he had to give to her was, when I go under tomorrow, go find him, right? So I was like, okay, I'll have that in mind when I go under. And I don't know if you've had surgery before, but being under anesthesia is the weirdest thing I've ever experienced. I've never experienced falling asleep and waking up in the same second, and 6 hours have passed. I'm like, what? And be all groggy, like, what's going on? Yeah, all that kind of situation. So the whole 6 hours I was under, all I remember from our conversation is sitting in front of a cave around a fire that was blue. My grandfather sitting across from me looked like a Native American chieftain. He had the headdress on, seemed like almost like a shirt cover and the long pants and stuff like that. And he was sitting there, and all I remember from the conversation is him saying to me, "You are Ash Wakanatanka, the Reaper of Souls. You are Ash Wakanatanka, the Reaper of Souls." And that's all I remember. I've asked other natives around here and ones I've come in contact with, does that name mean anything to you? And they're like, I've never heard about it before. And I was like, oh my God. And I searched all like Algonquin languages, native languages across the United States, searching for anything close. And I've come up nothing. Nothing. So that tells me either a legend that's been forgotten through time or it's a secret that the Cheyenne kept very close to the chest. But to this day, no one has been able to tell me anything about it. No one. What's really going to blow your mind is the fact that native spirits around here that we come in contact with, we actually got a picture of one of our investigations around here, because we were in the Crow to a national forest when we investigate sometimes, and my wife snapped a picture and you see the shadow figure of a Native American man standing there.
Wow.
Yeah, you don't see his head though. You see he's holding a hatchet. He looks like he's wearing like a long shirt with a belt around his waist, and you see like he's wearing some kind of boots that go up to his shins, covering his shins and stuff like that. But yeah, he's standing. He has like a tomahawk in his hand. Anyway, they call me Ash Wakanatanka. You hear it over the spirit box, right? As soon as we walk into a location, we're asking spirits and stuff like that, and you hear Ash Wakanatanka, right, in like native tonality, right? And I go, oh, you know my name? And they go, yes. And we hear some other native language we can't understand. And that's here, right, on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Where I think around where we live, the Algonquin and the Iroquois were around here back way before when. It's also interesting is that I have friends, investigators in Canada, around the Vancouver area, right? The opposite side of the United States altogether, and up in northern Canada. He did a couple investigations around native burial sites. And he asked the natives, I have a friend in America, and we're trying to find stuff out by his name. Do you know the name Ash Wakanatanka? And he gets back over the spirit box. Ah, yes, he is king. So native spirits from two opposite sides of the continent recognize the name. So there is more to the story that I have no idea of about the legend of that name and who I was at some time a long time ago. So
interesting.
But yeah, the sixth name, Ash Wakanatanka. Yeah.
Wow, man. Well, that's some cool names right there for sure. Wow.
Yeah, I need to trademark them.
Yeah, for sure, man. So is there anything out there that you can sort of look into this and find out the meaning of the names, or is there any books or anything that you've come across yet that give you any answers to that?
Well, I researched a lot of stuff, but besides shaman and then war shaman, and then finding some Native American legends that some shamans led war parties. So there's some correlation to that, but that was more fighting with physical weapons versus spiritual warfare. And there was people called spirit warriors who fought on the spiritual planes, also known as medicine man or shamans at the time. So they would spiritually ask to project remote view to let know when enemies were coming. They would go to the other side. I can't do that. I can't remote view. I can't astral project. The most I can do is everything with these. My wife, she's the very talented psychic medium, and she seems to be like the jack of all trades when it comes to psychic abilities. My co-host on the show. Besides talking to the dead, seeing them, knowing when they're around, feeling their empathic energies, knowing when someone's lying, knowing good people from bad by just feeling their energies. One of her main talents is remote viewing. She can go anywhere to anyone, alive or dead. It does not matter. If you show her a picture of somebody, she can find them with an instant of looking at their picture. She can also tell when someone's being oppressed or is potentially going to be possessed by just looking at their picture alone.
Wow.
Uh, so she's the team's great factor in figuring out whether that location is worth going to, if this person actually does need help versus psychiatric help versus spiritual help, um, and how we can help them out in those situations. But I've done arguing with her about going to a location that she feels a strong pull to, because there's a location that's near where we live called Northeast Creek Park, and there's nothing, no legends about it. There's no stories, there's no histories, there's no famous haunting going on there. Nothing. We had our most impactful investigation there. We encountered growling, yelling, seeing shadow figures, capturing pictures, seeing orbs, a possible cryptid of some kind, finding witches' brooms hanging in the wood, hanging in the trees, witches' brooms hanging in the
Wow.
trees, right? At this point, we call it crossroads. And we call crossroads when three or more trails meet to one location, right? We call that crossroads. We always find the energy there is very high. But it was on opposite sides of the trails was these two witches from hanging in trees. And you would never see them if you weren't paying attention. You had to actually look and, oh shit, it's hanging on the tree. And then the way that the park is, it looks like a giant football field, right? 100 yards in length and maybe about 50 yards wide. And just a big open area. It has woods all semicircled on the left side of it when you're looking at it straight on. And there's a trail that starts at one point and walks all the way around to the other side, all in the woods. And it has a wooden bridge that extends out further into the swamp area that's next to it, and then it kind of connects back way through. So you can either follow the trail, or you can take the wooden bridge and go to the scenery to the swamp, and you end up at the same spot. When the second night we were there, this is the most impactful night. We decided to take the wooden bridge access because the regular trail was flooded. We had a rain the night before, so we do. I mean, I had boots on. The other guy with me had boots on, but Megan, she was wearing Converse, so she didn't want to get her feet wet. So we went around the wooden bridge area, and we were over in that area in the crossroads looking for stuff, finding things, found the witches' brooms. So decided to make our way back. So we were at that crossroads for maybe 45 minutes, maybe a little longer, but not that long. And they started making our way back to the trailhead where we started. And we come to find out we had to stop in the middle way because Mike, the guy with us, was using his flashlight in front of him, and he saw there's a board in the middle of the bridge area, the wooden stuff, and the board was flipped up with the nails up. So if you weren't paying attention, you would have stepped right on there, and the nails would have gone in your foot. That wasn't there when we went across the first time, so someone had to put that there, right? No one's just out there with us, and we're out there like at 11 o'clock at night. No one's out there in the park, and we could hear just homeless people running around up there. But that wasn't the strangest thing. The strangest thing is when we made our way back to the point where we started, we found 3 feet in radius burn marks in the grass with a branch that probably snapped off and get 2 stories up from a tree on the ground. Because like, where did this come from? We looked at the tree, it was like almost at the top, snapped off and fell down to the ground next to all these burn marks. And we're like, what the hell was here? What left burn marks in the grass? We touched the grass area, it was cold. That was here for less the time that we were over here. And it snapped a branch off from the top of the tree. I mean, we were throwing theories around like an alien ship landed or something, right? And just for a second it flew off. I don't know. But yeah, that park.
Wow. What was the cryptid?
When we were going live and someone commented, hey, there might be a Bigfoot around there because Bigfoot are known to do that, leave traps for people because they want them to leave. Yeah. So that's why we suspected a possible cryptid. Or because we just literally got done talking about the Bridgewater Triangle, possible puck wedgies, because since we're next to a swamp. So
yeah, man.
Yeah.
Interesting. So going back to the ring, have you got that on now, that ring?
No, I have it over there.
Okay. So it's always near.
Yeah, I should build a box for it. But I always carry it on me when I'm like out and about or at work around like that, just in case I need to pull something, because you'd be surprised what you find in the random places. But no, I have it sitting in a little area of hematites next to some tourmaline and some other black stones, also a piece of quartz, kind of just all around surrounding, kind of like preventing energy from leaving or affecting
Yeah.
anybody around. I had ambitions of building a box that could imprison it, the box. So, like, say, very powerful psychic medium, when they see the ring, like, oh shit, what the fuck's in there? And versus if I had the box closed, like, oh, what's in the box? Like, they have no idea what's in there. Kind of that kind of shielding. Yet to get that made, but right now the ring just hangs with me. Uh, yeah.
So do you have to have the ring with you in order to do that, to trap the entities?
No, because when I grab them, I can be from where I am right now, and I go into the ring, and I kind of push the energy in that direction, and then it kind of gets vacuumed into the ring and then closes. The furthest I ever pushed something like that was I was at the end of our street, which I would say is a quarter mile, and I felt something because me and my wife were walking around the block, and I felt something. I didn't have the ring on me, so I pushed it in the direction of the house, and it ended up going into the ring. So that's the furthest distance I ever tried to push something from where I was and from where the ring was.
Yeah.
But normally it's always near me.
Interesting, man.
Yeah.
And these demons and these entities that you've got captured, you're in complete control of them.
Yeah. And here's where things get where I might scare you. But let's go on a ride. I want you to imagine, and this is for anyone listening as well, you're a demon. You've lived for thousands of years. You've tormented mankind. You've seen them grow from living in caves to now they're using technology to go to the moon. And you've tormented thousands, millions of people over your existence, feeding off their negative energy like a drug. The more they give you, the more you take. You possess people. You've had them kill themselves. You've moved on to other people. You existed for a long time. And the most you've ever you have had to deal with are annoying priests or shamans that basically push you away somewhere else. Like, well, I'm not dealing with this. I'm going to go to someone else. And you existed that long forever. So you find a new victim, and this victim is a young teenage girl, and you're just the emotion, negative emotion she gives you when she cries, when she's depressed, when she's angry is the most addictive drug you ever felt, and you want more of it. So you start bothering her, start scratching her, start haunting her parents, affecting them, making your parents angry at the girl and the girl angry at the parents, creating more animosity in the house. The more. And then one random day, at an evening time, you see the parents talking to somebody on their phone, and you hear the man's voice say, "It won't take long. Just show me around the house, and I can take care of whatever's there." And you're thinking, "Who the hell is this guy? He's no priest. He's no shaman. He's a random dude on the phone." And he's besides, he's not even here. The last person they brought in, I scared out of the house. Who the hell did they got? And then they start carrying the phone and walking around like they're shooting a video or a picture. And one of your minions is standing next to the girl's bed, and they walk in and they have the camera aimed at him. And you hear the guy on the phone say, "No, no, no, turn right. No, stop. Right there. Hold still." And you're like, "What?" And your minion is looking at the people and go, "What are they doing?" And all of a sudden, you see these red strings of energy fire out of the phone, wrap around your minion, and pull him into the phone faster than you can blink. He disappears. And then you freaking out. The humans have a new technology that can grab us. What's going on? What's going on? And then they walk around the house more, and then they find your other minion upstairs, hanging on the ceiling, like up in the corner. And they grab and pull him through to the phone. You're like, "Oh, you're freaking out." Well, so you start running out of the house. But when you're running out of the house, you're hit with this glass wall of light energy that you cannot penetrate. You're hitting on it, and it's like hitting like bulletproof glass. You can't get through it, and you're freaking out because, "Oh, I can't escape. I can't leave." And you feel one of those tendrils wrap around your throat and pull you. And when it pulls you, you feel yourself smashing in smaller and smaller size, and then boom, you're in a whole different house, a whole different place, going, "What the heck?" And you're looking at a man say, "Into the ring," and then you go from where he has you, and your energy transfers towards a King Solomon ring, and you recognize the symbol because that reminds you of the King Solomon from the Jews. And you go in, and inside, and all of a sudden you're in a place that looks like a forest. All this, everything's black and ashen covered, and you're seeing others of your kind dragging themselves across the ground, missing pieces of themselves, missing limbs, missing eyes, missing horns, just dragging in agonizing pain. And that just terrifies you. You see demons chained to trees that you called master and sire, just damaged and disheveled of what they used to be. And you're going, who the hell did all this? And you look down at your feet and you see inscribed in the ground, abandon all hope, ye who enter here. Going, no, no, this can't be hell. I came from hell. This is not hell. This can't be this. And then all of a sudden, a man appears in front of you. And it's not like any man you ever seen before. He looks like a Native American deity, large, and his skin almost looks blue and doesn't make any sense. And he asks, why were you there? Why were you bothering that girl? And you have, like, I'm not going to tell this guy. And all of a sudden, he uses one of those tendrils, wraps around your throat, and starts strangling you and says, why were you there? What is your name? And you're fighting back. And all of a sudden, you feel an electric charge through you, like he just sent you through like an electric power plant. And then you start asking, when he starts breaking your bones, you start answering the questions, why? And then he says, this is your prison now. This is where you forever stay. And he tosses you. And for some reason, the gravity in there is so dense and heavy, you could only drag yourself across the floor. That is what happens to everything I pull. Because in the ring, I have absolute control. They used to bum rush me when I would enter. But when I figured out how to use my tendrils, almost like cables or extensions of my hand, almost like my fingertips, I can grab them, I can break their bones, I can electrocute them, because that was an addition to one of my abilities. My tendrils now electrify. I learned that after taking down one of my first high rankers, because he was able to pull on the tendrils, like pull them off him. And I was like, oh crap, he's going to get loose. And all of a sudden I felt like electric charge run through my hand. And like basically I tased them in a sense. And
Wow.
tased them with enough power that I could light up a city. So it wasn't like a simple, it was like, pow, electricity. And I was able to weaken them enough to pull them through. And then that's what I used to weaken entities that are a little stronger than the average one. Don't
Wow.
necessarily need it all the time, but sometimes it's required. But yeah, I have absolute power over them in there, and it scares them, terrifies them, because they are creatures that have existed longer than man has been on this earth, and they are resulted down to having to answer to me when I'm in there. When I talk about the higher deity, my higher self has been imaged as that. I've been told that my higher self looks like a Native American man mixed with like American Native and also like Aztec, like combination of this, I was like amalgamation of the both. But Mike, one of the psychics on our team, he said my skin was like blue, like a deep metallic blue, a very dark, weird color. I was like, oh, that's weird. I was like, yeah, like I see it every now and then when he looks at me. Um, but I guess that's what I appear to them in the ring when I show up, because uh, they're not talkative in the beginning, but after with persuasion, um, they are after that. So, yeah, like I said, they used to bum rush me, and I had to basically, say stop. And my voice in the ring too is different. It's louder, it's more lower and more authoritative. Like it comes off like I don't say a drill sergeant, but like a powerful entity. Like stop, 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 and it echoes in there, and they just basically freeze in their steps. But no, ever since I was able to use my tendrils inside the ring, no, they're a lot more quiet now. The screaming
Yeah.
and the yelling is minimized. They run when I enter the ring. They scatter. They hide. So it's no more of me worrying about them. It's them worrying about me while I'm in there.
Yeah. Wow, man. So when a demon sees you, it's game over. There's
Yeah.
no way out, you know?
Nope. And
Wow.
like I said, it's like 83 of them I've taken so far, and that's not all from 31 cases. That's not all from all the places I investigated around here. That's all. That's some coming here to our home looking for a fight. Like we pick a lot of fights. Me and the wife have taken a lot of entities, and a lot of them are looking for their master, or they're sent to attack me. That's how I got two skinwalkers. They came here looking for a fight. Uh, a witch entity, a hag entity, this bug thing that looked like a roach. right? It was strange. It was like red roach looking thing with like lightning around it. Um, but that was one of the strange things I saw. But my wife was able to generate or put a shield around the house that's impenetrable to dark entities, and she can hear them pounding on the shield like someone banging against glass. And
Wow.
she said, Isaac, there's something over there. You gotta go deal with it. So I reached through her shield and pull the entity through the shield. And when I do that, it looks like the creatures from Infinity War when I Wakanda, where all those things are basically tearing themselves through the Wakandan shield when they like pieces of them are burning off. Yeah, it looks like that. When I pull an entity through the shield, it's like parts of the skin that were coming off and peeling off as I'm pulling them through it. It's not pleasant.
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
guys, you're a big target to the underworld, to the demons, to these entities. You've got a target there that they're coming, but obviously you can handle them.
Yeah. Yeah, they got to a point where they stopped attacking. Once in a while, something would come. But the fact that every time something sends something over my way and it doesn't report back, I was like, oh crap, we just lost another one. Like it's imagine like an army, they're sending soldiers every now and then, they're not reporting back. They
Yeah.
keep go missing, they keep go missing, they keep go missing, they keep go missing. Like, oh, we gotta stop sending people out there, they're not coming back. So now it's me hunting them, and more home cases I do, the more people I help with their oppression cases and stuff like that, the more people I can help, and the more demons I can take off the plane of existence, or more dark humans that are seem to be bothering people. But yeah, we're excuse me. The paranormal team now is me and my wife with Hidden Shadows Paranormal. Um, but what's interesting is that my tendrils, like I said, can electrify now. But I come to find out that some entities have elemental energies attached to them. When my wife remote viewed into the Alaskan Triangle, which is a cool, interesting story if you ever done it before, um, she came back because you think I'm powerful, you think I'm talented. And I have a conversation with my wife and talk about her abilities. Because when she remote views into a location, if a dark entity is there, she comes in contact with, she can what she calls body bag them. Essentially, she throws a body bag of energy around them, grabs them up like Santa Claus with his sack, and then jets back here, remote views, teleports here, shows me the entity or brings it to me. I pull the entity, I put it in the ring. One of these times, she brought something back with her that looked like a Native American woman with black eyes, wearing like a bison coat or like cloak with the bison horns on the head, like a buffalo head, and it looked like she was made of wind, like a real ghost, like real misty kind of Caesar. So I grabbed her, and when I grabbed her, I was almost like trying to grab the wind. So I was able to spin my tendrils around her, kind of creating a suction, and pulled her in. And when I got her in the ring, I absorbed and pulled that wind or air elemental energy off of her, leaving behind a dark entity, like a dark shadow entity. And I absorbed that wind into my hands, my tendrils. And now my tendrils can spin and electrify like a tornado made of electricity. But
Wow.
there's more. I came across an entity that looked like he was made of fire. So I tried the same thing on him, pulled the fire energy off of him, and it absorbed into my tendrils. Now, tornado spins on fire and electricity. Then we got to investigate on Camp Lejeune, which that place has never been tapped for paranormal stuff. But holy crap, does it have a lot of haunting there? Right, there's a dime a dozen stories. Every Marine you ever talk to who served on Camp Lejeune is going to tell you something paranormal that happened. Um, and we the Marine that took us on base took us to this sinkhole or like man-made lake, and he said a couple Marines drowned in that lake. Which a Marine drowning is kind of an odd statement to say. They're trained in water to survive. They're the toughest of tough. So them drowning, that's a strange thing to happen. But kind of find out they weren't drowned by their own doing. Something pulled them down. So I reached my tendrils into the water, reached deep down, looking for something. I did. I found something at the bottom. It was a shadow entity covered in a suit of water. and it looks strange. The water around him, like a layer of it, was like how water looks like zero gravity, right? Like emanating around him. And he was down there going, no, I can't, no, no, I can't, no. Like that kind of mindset, like talking to himself. So I grabbed him and I pulled him up, put him in the ring, and pulled the water energy off of him, leaving a shadow behind, and then having that now involved in my tendrils. So now I can spin the tendrils with the wind and water combined, creating ice and snow. So I can freeze an entity if I need to, or I can ignite on fire, or I can electrify it, or use the wind ability to suck them into me, and basically, as they're trying to run away and they're too far for me to grab. The wind thing works out well when I can pull multiple haunted objects at one time. So if someone has a wall of haunted objects, spin the tendrils, create the wind thing, vortex, and suck up all the dark energy from all the haunted objects at one time, and then now they're just regular objects.
Wow, man. Yeah.
But yeah,
Wow.
it's the elemental additions to my tendrils,
Yeah.
which is I never thought I would be capable of doing. But like I said, I went from nothing to this in 3-4 years now. Right?
And
Me and
it's
my wife combined.
constantly evolving as well.
Yeah, it's like every time I met with a challenge, my ability evolves to meet it the next time. Like if I met with any kind of resistance, it finds a way to evolve to meet that kind of challenge the next time. And the same thing over and over again. Doesn't matter the entity or type of entity, it always evolves to match it the next time around. So there's some lore and legend surrounding my ability that I'm yet to figure out entirely. And my best place for any kind of answers is with the Cheyenne tribe, or at least some kind of elder medicine man or something who can, bring some life into the mystery. But as of right now, like I said, I'm so clueless. Speaking of my spirit guides, discovering things, all that stuff is getting me to where I am now. But me and my wife combined together, the most dangerous duo for dealing with dark entities. Because if I can't grab you through a phone, like say the signal goes out, right? She'll go there and body bag it and bring it back here. Now, what was interesting, what I had to do for her is I can go to her mind forest very easy. And of course, that's one of the first ones I ever cleared out was hers. And when another interesting thing is when I clear someone's mind forest out, I pull all the gunk out of your head. Your main spirit guide shows up. Now, it's not your only spirit guide, it's your main one. If someone to do it to me, they would see Azul, right? So if I would do it to a lot of people, my wife, is a woman named Mary, and she's dressed like she's from the biblical times. Like not the Mary Magdalene, because she, according to Mary, that name was like John, right? There's thousands of Marys around that time, so it's not like it's a common name for that period of time. But that's what she looks like, and she's the one that's in Megan's mind force. Every time I enter, she's there. But I had to build in Megan's mind force a prison cell with very tiny windows, 2 stories tall, about 20 feet wide, and 20 feet long, and about 10 feet wide, made of like solid steel and iron. Like it looks like a giant metal box with no door. And when she body bags things now, she drops it in there. So it's in a cell inside her mind force, and then I go in, open it with my tendrils, kind of like open a giant safe door, grab the entity inside, put it in the ring, close it, lock it. She can reuse it over and over and over again. Because she originally would bring things back in her mind force, and they would be in there wreaking havoc. So I built that in her mind force to at least have a way station for dark entities that she brings back with her. Because she goes places that she doesn't want to go, and that she'll bring something back with her. Sometimes not without her control. She's getting better at it though.
Yeah. So it's like you two are like the perfect team. Like you're meant to be.
Yeah. Soulmates, twin
Yeah,
flames, whatever
for
terminology you
sure.
want to use. Because of all the past lives we've lived, we have found each other multiple times. We have been a couple multiple times over our past lives. So we keep finding each other over and over again. And this life is no different. Last time we were together was my direct last life and her second to last life. I was a man named Wes, and she was a woman named Betsy. Betty or Betsy? Can't remember what she said. And that's the last time we were together till now. I went from Wes to Isaac. She went from Betty to a 14-year-old girl who grew up in the 80s, who was murdered and then came back as Megan in the 90s. So,
Wow.
yeah, we were able to figure that one out on our own. But the past life regressionist that we met, she's been very talented, and she saw all the way back to BC era with me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think you've had these abilities in all your past lives as well? And this is something you carried?
She hasn't noticed that in my past lives. But one thing is for sure, in all my past lives, every life I have ever lived, even including this one, I have been a warrior, a fighter, a soldier, a knight, a hitman, a bounty hunter. It does not matter. Every life I've ever lived has been consistently conflict. Every single one. Uh, and this life, again, is no different. I
Yeah.
am a fighter fighting a different kind of war. Consistently going into battle, just a different one. So this life is no different. And I think that mindset, the warrior's mindset that I had from beginning till now, was important. Like I was consistently going in for the fight, which has built my mind the way it is now. Um, this life I've lived, I mean, I was a musician. I played in bands. I wanted to be a pro wrestler when I was younger. I wanted to do pro wrestling and stuff. I was a big giant fan of that, but I injured my knee, so that was out of the cards. And then I got into playing more music because I was a big fan of music. Played musician wise, moved here, couldn't find anyone capable of playing with who played a sound that was at least from the last 5 years. Everybody was stuck in 2000 for some reason. Um, and then we got into the podcasting thing because I had a creative mind, and from the podcasting, met people, my ability awoken, and now I'm finally doing what I'm meant to do.
Yeah.
This is what I'm meant to do. I am meant to go across the entire world, imprisoning and eradicating as much darkness as I can to make the world a more peaceful, more balanced place. Which you think would put me on the hit list for a lot of dark stuff out there. Um, what's interesting is I think one of the episodes I listened to last of yours, you had a kid on there from Asia,
Yeah.
um, who talked about remote viewing and seeing stuff like that. And he talked about aliens. When I think about the idea that aliens could be demons, right? That makes me more dangerous than I already am because I'm already imprisoning demons. If demons are aliens, then there's no alien species that I can't imprison and pull and grab and have power over. Holy crap, that's a whole nother can of worms to open, right? And then he mentioned something about like some of the alien races having a list of like psychic and medium people who potentially are a threat, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wouldn't that put me and my wife on top of the list of the most potential threats out there?
Yeah.
Yet we have never been visited. We have never been visited. I've had alien experiences, but it's always from a distance, right? Not close
Interesting.
up. Not close up. Nothing's ever come into the room, tried to abduct us. Nothing like that,
So have you
right?
seen UFOs and things like that?
On the ranch I grew up on, one of the all right, that's a whole nother 4 hours on its own. Because that place is, I've been told by the stories I've told about it that it sounds like it almost rivals Skinwalker Ranch
Oh,
from just the
wow.
stories I've told about me living there. So yeah, that's a whole other
That's another
podcast.
episode.
Yeah. But one of the times I was there, I was living there. I was like in my 20s, and my grandfather built a 2-story concrete building, kind of like an apartment building, just bedrooms upstairs and downstairs with bathrooms and upstairs and downstairs. Because I have 10 uncles and aunts on my father's side. So a lot of kids need a lot of rooms. So he built that for them. And then when I got older, all my aunts and uncles were already moved out, living in other states and stuff like that, their own lives. Those rooms were empty. So my grandfather said, "Hey, you want to live up there and pay me rent? I'll charge like $100 a month." So I was like, "Yeah, I'll do that," because I wanted to move out and have my own independence, but that should be so far away from home. So I lived up there, and I had a friend who was trying to get his own place, and I asked my grandfather, "Can he live with us?" Because we worked together at the same place overnight, and he was like, "Yeah, it's fine. He'll pay me more," which he did. And one of the nights, there's this balcony out there that he would go out there and smoke, and from this balcony, you can see the entire ranch, and it's open, and you can see the sky above and all that stuff. It's like a big, perfect view from that spot. And one of the times that we were out there, we're talking, and my back's faced to the outscape, and he's looking at it. He's sitting in the chair, and he's smoking. I'm saying something. All of a sudden, he looks in the sky and goes, "What is that?" And I turn around, and what I see are three lights moving in perfect synchronicity in one direction. And I'm thinking, oh, it's like a couple of jets or something, like doing testing or something. No, these lights slow down and then turn into a triangle pattern, right? Just like spinning, turn into a triangle pattern, and then boom, disappear. Like they fire off faster than I've ever seen. I was like, what? We were looking at it and go, dude, that's aliens. Yeah, it's aliens, man. What else can move that fast? I don't know if jets can move that fast, especially around Texas in this area. Like, I mean, granted, it's Air Force Base in San Antonio, but I have never heard of any technology like that can move that fast.
Yeah.
Anyway, but one of the times here at the same park, so we went back to the park to run a theory of mine. Was what landed there an alien ship, right? What else is going to be? I don't know. Let's run with it. Let's see what happens. So the guy that was with our team previously was named Mike. He was a fantastic Essis method person. Like I called him the voice of the dead. How accurate he was. It was like I was having a conversation with the dead anytime he would do the Essis method. It was direct. It was purposeful. Better than anyone I've ever seen. So what we did is we sat in the middle of the field with intention of talking to whatever was here. And we got an answer. While in the Essis method, Mike said he heard static and weird, like computer sounding language that turned into a voice. And in the voice, he basically was talking. I was talking to it through him. It says, "Why have you come back looking for answers?" Like with a question. And I said, "Yes. Were you the ones who landed over there?" And they said, "We didn't land, but we had something land there." And I go, "Where are you from?" "Not this dimension. We travel dimensions." Right? And I asked, "Do you know who I am?" And they said, "Yes, Ashwakanatanka." So like, oh shit, then I'll be my that name. And I said, "Why did you come here?" Right? And I said, I think I asked, I was like, "Are you here to teach us something?" I was like that. And I said, no, we're here from the source. "Oh, pray to the source." Right? And it wasn't like telling me to pray to the source. It was like they were saying that as like a, like, was it Catholics always say, peace be with you, and then beyond, kind of like a callback. So when they said from the source, "Oh, pray to the source," it was kind of like a continuation. At least that's how Mike said it. And then I think I asked something is like, "If I come back here again, will you be back here?" It's like, "When we can," right? And then they said something as this: we have to go, but you know how to get in contact with us." And then Mike heard static and then silence over the spirit box. And then that's not strange. What was fucking weird is me and my wife were standing on opposite sides of Mike, and we noticed on the opposite side of the field, about 50 yards into the tree line, this light shoot up like someone was firing a flare. That was that bright. We thought someone was in the woods shooting up a flare. Like, oh, what the heck is that? And it floated for a couple of seconds and then shot off into the sky.
Wow.
Our best assumption is that that was some kind of communicative technology that they were using to communicate with us from that distance. So, interdimensional beings, possible aliens, talking to us with non-threatening indications know exactly who I am. So that's why I said, if dark entities are aliens, then I'm more scarier than I suspected to be.
Yeah, man. So do you think there is a connection between aliens, demons? Do you think they're a part of the same thing? Or do you think there is?
I think what I've learned to figure out, in my own opinions, dimensions up, right? People say there's 8, there's 9, there's 10, there's 11, might possibly 12. I think we're in a third dimensional plane, right? And this is a starting point. There's nothing really below us. And my wife she summarized it. She had a lot of downloads, a lot of messages. She kind of figured this out, piecing stuff together. According to her, there's 12. She said 12 dimensions. But what she said was strange is that they go all the way up and they also go all the way down. And opposite, it's like they go 12 negative and 12 positive. balance. And she said human ghosts and spirits are in the fourth, right? What time and space doesn't exist, hence why they can be here and there in different places at different times. But it seems like they're in the 40s and they're in our time at the same time. That's what I was confused about the date. But then the opposite, negative fourth, is where all dark entities, all demons, all fourth dimensional angels, fourth dimension negative demons, so the opposites of each other. Fifth dimension, we suspect is where gods are, right? All the gods, all the famous ones are there. And then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, we have no idea. But that's as much as we surmised from her downloads and messages. So, methinks aliens are a dimensional being in a higher dimensional plane that have learned to travel through to lower ones and pop up here and every now and then. That, or they're from a whole nother planet where interdimensional travel is how they travel. We evolved technology, the combustible engine, but if they learn to travel with their minds, but if that commonplace technology is like, oh, let me teleport over here, and they're in the next place over, right?
Yeah.
Us, okay, let's walk, let's use a car or something like that. But their technology is a whole differently from ours. Because trying to, what's the word, condense or at least reflect alien technology to be like our own. Oh, they must have the same stuff we have. And that's asinine of us. That's arrogant to think that, oh, the rest of the universe has got to do the same stuff as us. No, no, no. Obviously, they evolved an entirely different way than we had. So,
Yeah.
interdimensional beings, possibly, or something other. But like I said, if demons are aliens, I'm far scarier than I thought I would be.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Can I ask, can a demon be destroyed?
Yes. And I know this because according to the guy I used to investigate with, Mike, who's a very talented psychic medium, very seasoned. He's a couple years, well, 10 years older than I am. I'm 36, 36 now. So he's about his mid 40s. And he's seen a lot. He's died 4 times on the operating table. He's had cancer in his stomach for years. He's in remission. He's fine. But he couldn't take the fight anymore. He kind of had to retire from investigating altogether. We communicate every now and then, share information. I ask him questions. We have powwows and talk about here this and that. But other from that, no, he's not in the game anymore. But he says one of his memories from a past life, from his dreams and meditations, he said there was a world where we existed together, like a past life of us, where I did kill demons. I destroyed them all, and I destroyed the world, according to him. And to not let that happen again, that's why I'm imprisoning everything. All right, because I could. There's points where I'm choking one almost to end its life, where it could die if I keep going, but I choose not to. I choose to imprison them. Can they be destroyed? I'm not. Again, I'm not 100% sure, because he tells me that, and I don't 100% believe him. But he hasn't really been wrong about most stuff before. So it's a possibility. I don't 100% know. But we always go with the theory: energy can't be destroyed or created. It always exists, but it takes different forms. So I don't know. But then again, there's also been no one like me in existence who's doing what I'm doing. So what are my limitations? Still, again, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just know what I know so far, and that seems to be pulling anything I can, taking care of those things. It doesn't essentially matter. And also, it doesn't matter where they're from. I've taken djinns, right? That's Muslim faith dark entities. I've taken an entity called Amarok, which is apparently a Native American legend of a wolf top body and a snake bottom part. That's what it looked like to me when I pulled it. And other creatures from other pantheons and other faiths. So I'm not limited to one pantheon of dark entities. It seems if it's dark energy, I can take it, or have the potential of taking it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And what's the? I know you're still working it all out, but what is the goal right now? What is the just to capture as many as possible? And what's the goal right now?
That and then pass it down to my future children. A couple psychics we've talked to have prophesized, if you want to call it that. But they suspect that my daughter, who's not even born yet, is going to take my place as the next Shadow Walker. We actually already have a name for her too. When we ever get around to having her, we have decided all our children's names. Our first daughter will be Elena. which is strange because we might have twins because twins run in both our bloodlines. So the chances of us having twins is like 80%. So luckily,
Wow.
our first son, Killian, he's actually showing abilities of his own right now. He's a combination of me and my wife. He puts his hands up and projects positive energy, light energy, pushing stuff back essentially. And we saw him doing this at 3 years old. Something was in a dark corner that only he could see, and he was like, "No, no, no, no!" He's putting his hands up, and whatever it was couldn't leave that corner of the room because I was like, "What is he looking at?" And I felt my hand charge, and I'm like, "Oh!" And I noticed it wasn't moving; it was stuck, like it couldn't run back or forward. I go, "He's keeping it there," and I grab it, I pull it, and he turns around, and looks at me. He didn't know I was there. He just saw where it went. Yeah. So 3 years
Wow.
old, and he's 7 now, so he's already
Yeah.
yeah, he's going to be talented when he gets older, and we have to teach him stuff. But
Yeah, man.
no, I don't honestly believe I'm going to complete taking everything off the plane in my lifetime. I think it's something I'm going to have to pass on to my future kids, my grandchildren, my great grandchildren, however long the bloodline exists, to keep doing this over and over again until it's done, essentially, until our plane of existence is not influenced by anything dark here, that we can live our lives simply by our own experiences without outside influences dictating that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
for sure.
that's the end goal. But like I said, my biggest regret right now is that none of the people know who I am because there's a lot of people out there suffering with things that are just tormenting the crap out of them. And yet people come in with prayers and incense and trinkets and stones and all this stuff just to push stuff away or keep it at bay. When a simple 30-minute call with me, it's done. It's over with. It's gone. It never has a chance of coming back. And it's simple as that. And that alone, what people find unbelievable. They also find it unbelievable that you don't charge for this. Not nothing. No, no. I don't do that. Like I said, I feel morally wrong to do so. So I just don't.
Yeah, man.
Um, but my last great test, and I don't know if this crossed your mind yet. My last great test is to see if I can pull a demon out of someone who's fully possessed. Yet to come across someone who's possessed. Oppression cases, dime a dozen. But possession, oh, yet to come across that. Because those seem to be more rare than anything else. Um, and also, it takes a family, one, to not believe in the, not say not believe in the church, but not trust the church. Call me in order to do so, and or at least know about me to do so. So that's all those are like it has to be perfect aligning for that to happen.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've had dreams of it happening. I've seen myself doing it and what it looks like. So possibility
So,
in the future.
so this is something that is coming possibly, and
Yeah.
you're ready for it.
Been considering it. And the thing is though, if a possession works like a haunted object, right? The person is the object, the demon is possessing inside of them, right? Then all I have to do is reach inside and pull it out. That's first idea. Second, I go into their mind forest and pull them out from there. Because what I come to find out with oppression cases is that when someone's being demonically oppressed, the demon leaves a copy of itself inside the person's mind forest. So when I clear our house out, I have to clear out the person's mind just to 100% make sure that this thing is entirely gone. Because when it leaves a copy of itself, we theorize that it's like leaving a tracker just in case someone pushes them away, they can make their way back. Or it's kind of like a marker for other dark entities to tell other demons, hey, this one's capable of oppression. See, I did it. I left my mark. You go ahead and try it as well, right? So taking away that, I call it a failsafe out of someone's mind forest, ensures that that person will never be bothered again. And all 31 cases I have done, people have not been affected by things ever again. Now, there's a few who have called stuff back, and I can't help that. If I, as soon as I clean your house, you're gonna go dirty up again. I can't help those people. But from the time being, when they don't call out for stuff, it's done and over with. But yeah, 31 confirmed cases, people receiving peace. The most proficient one we've ever had was a woman named Dal, and we actually brought her on the podcast to tell her story. It's called Dal's story. Simple. Her son was being oppressed by a spirit of a witch, and she had 3 demons in her stead, and they were tormenting her son. He's like 12 years old. It got so bad to a point where he couldn't even walk. He was dragging himself across the ground. It was
Oh,
so
wow.
bad. And she brought on a Native American shaman who kind of put it at bay for like a week. Then it came back. Um, Brought on a paranormal team. They tried to investigate, but the family said, no, no, we're not doing this. We're not doing this. Forget about it. That paranormal team is the one who actually reached out to me, and we became good friends with Unknown Paranormal. I was able to convince her to do a FaceTime call with me. Let me talk to you. Let me explain what I can do. And she was like, well, we'll give it a try. And when I pulled one of the first things from her home, standing outside her house, not going inside her house, described what it looked like, she gasped because that's what her son describes them as. So I was like, oh, he's legit. And then so she goes to the house, walks it around, shows me the rest of the home. I pull this, pull that, pull this, find a portal in her backyard. Had to close that. By the way, I can close portals too. It's like it's like grabbing a rubber disc, like an inch thick rubber disc, and squeezing it and trying to squeeze it into like a hot dog shape, right? It's very hard and it's really strenuous on my hand and my forearms.
Is that
But
destroying the portal
no,
completely?
it's like closing it. Like I
Okay.
basically close it and then pull the energy and imprison it, and the portal basically closes. But I
Wow.
found one in her backyard where the stuff was coming from. Excuse me. After I did that, cleared his mind force out, talked to his main spirit guide, and come to find out that he has a very strong EMA. His EMA is that he'll be a very dangerous person in the world if evil were to take over with him. He can manifest anything he wants into reality. If he wants something bad enough, it just happens for him. His EMA can do that. So imagine someone possessed with that kind of ability. They can generate other dark entities into existence if they wanted to. That's why they were after him. They wanted him to use that power. And as we come to find out, a lot of people who get oppressed, they have psychic inclined abilities, some more than others, or they generate a lot of enough energy from themselves that you can feel it almost. So generating a lot of negative energy is like finding like the best kind of drug out there. Hence why demons go after certain people. They don't go after the strong-willed people. If you have a strong-willed mind and stuff like that, you're not even, they don't even consider you unless they want to damage you. But even then, it's not worth their time. They go after people who are capable of being broken. They break your mind down to a point of submission where you basically just give up and they take over. My wife described it perfectly as that your body, your vessel, is like a car and your soul is the driver. And a demon is basically banging on the glass, trying to rip you out of the driver's seat and take over. That's oppression. Possession is they threw you in the trunk and now they're driving. Right.
Yeah.
Then I come along and rip them out of the driver's seat and stop the car and then put you back in the driver's seat and then we move on.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
But usually oppression doesn't get to possession because you have someone called in a priest or you have someone called in a shaman or a paranormal investigator, somebody to stop it. And as I said, it's rare that possessions happen, but often rare that they even get reported. But like I said, I'm yet to find one. So I know it's on my to-do list, but that's my
Yeah.
last test. If I can do that, if I can pull a demon out of someone who's possessed, yeah, there's no limitations to what I can do, apparently.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Super, super interesting, man. Isaac, this has been absolutely amazing. Like you have blown my mind. You said you was gonna, and you did.
Yeah.
Incredible, incredible stuff. Can you, if you destroyed the ring now, what would happen to the entities inside, or do you know?
Two things would happen, to my best knowledge. One, all those things would be trapped there forever. No one would be able to find them. They wouldn't be able to escape. It'd just be a lost world where those entities are. Or two, they escape. Right? They escape with a vengeance, causing more torment than ever possible because now they're angry at the fact that humanity has capability of imprisoning them, something that no one's ever been done before since the age of King Solomon. They thought that magic was lost. They thought that power was gone, and now here's back again. And now they're going to do whatever they can to prevent that from happening. You're going to probably see them killing off bloodlines. Anyone associated with my family, they're going to die or be possessed. They're going to come back with a vengeance and war. Anyone associated with me is going to be targets. So, yeah, it wouldn't be a good idea to do so. But I don't think they can. It would take someone like me to even attempt to try it, because I can go in, but I've never even thought about pulling something out. It's almost like a one-way road. It doesn't go backwards. So the chances of something coming out of it is slim to none.
Yeah.
Because I can go in and out at will, but pulling something out of it, no, it's why I had never considered it. And two, I don't even think it's possible.
Interesting,
Yeah.
man. Interesting. Well, you've clearly helped a lot of people, and you're going to help a lot more people, that's for sure. Super interesting stuff, man. I'd love to get you back on, because I feel like there's a lot more that we can talk about, that's for sure. Can you tell the listeners where they can find you?
Yeah, my podcast, Hidden in the Shadows podcast. Or anywhere you listen to podcasts, either Apple, Spotify, wherever. We have new episodes. Try to every week, but sometimes we have to go a couple weeks because we have cases or we're out investigating. So that takes priority over the podcast. But yeah, we try to do at least episodes every week. We've talked about every single subject. We bring people on for interviews. Been doing it for 4 years now, and that's where you can listen to us or find us. Our social medias at Hidden in the Shadows Podcast on Instagram, Hidden the Shaw 6 on X, Hidden in the Shadows Podcast 2 on TikTok. I didn't pick the name. Or links to all our social media and all ways you can listen to it at hiddenshadowspodcast.com. Also have an Instagram for the paranormal team, Hidden the Shadows Paranormal, where you can follow us there as well. And any inquiries, questions, help needed, either the podcast or the paranormal team, you can message us. We'll most likely answer back and help you out with anything. I always say no case too small, no case too big for us to handle. Whether it's simply you want to check your home to see if there's anything in there, or you need us to get rid of something that's tormenting your family, does not matter. We can help out anyway. You want me to clear out your mind force for you? We can do that as well. Very simple, just a simple FaceTime call. I can reach in, clear out your mind, tell you who your spirit guide is, and that'll be the end of it. And then help you figure out how to communicate with said spirit guide and such and stuff like that. But yeah, there's our socials, and we'll hopefully get the YouTube for the paranormal team up and running and show some videos that we've captured as of so far, because we don't really need to bring any equipment with us because we're using our abilities. So we never thought to have like any kind of cameras or any devices, but we're starting to build up the collection. Right now, I think the most we have is a camera, and I wear a body cam so people can see my point of view. We caught some cool things on the body cam. You see, one time I was pulling, and you see my hand with all this mist around it, and it looks like it's like white and waving, like there's mist on it. I go, gotcha, and you see my hand close and open, and the mist is gone. It's really weird.
Wow, man. That's
Yeah.
cool. That's cool, man. Well, Isaac, thank you so much, brother. I will share all the links in the show description so people can find you easily. It's been a blast, man. Thank you so much. And I look forward to hearing more and speaking to you again soon.
Same as I. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you very much, brother.